Welcome! Heavensturn is basically a celebration of the new year. Eorzeans name each year for one of the 12, this year being dedicated to Baragat, the builder. However, in the Far East, they use one of 12 totem animals, this year's being the Nezumi, also known as the rat. Every year, a group comes from the Far East to share their traditions with Eorzea, and also make lots of mochi.
Mochi is tight.
Anyway, Heavensturn is of course based on real-world New Year's celebrations, but more specifically the traditions of Japan, including the preparing and eating of mochi and mochi-based dishes, and assigning each year an animal from the Chinese zodiac. Heavensturn is currently active and will last until January 14th. Well, the constant snow has stopped to be replaced with the nearly constant rain. There are decorations in the main shopping areas of the housing districts and the primary holiday areas of the three main cities. Strangely, Kugane, that big city in the Far East, is not decorated for the event. To participate in this event, you need any class or job at or above level 15. So if you are on a trial account, enjoy. Like several events, this one has no specific main scenario requirements. However, the quest begins in Limsa Lominsa, so you may want to get to the level 15 quest, the Call of the Sea. By that point, you would have unlocked airship travel between the three main cities. Though you can pick up and turn in the quest on any class that's 15, you will need to use a combat class for at least part of the quest line. More on this later. Heavensturn is one of the simpler events and involves only one quest. In each of the three main cities, you will find Nezumi Doshin, who will tell you all about the holiday, making mochi, and that you need to go to Limsa Lominsa.
Reading.
In case you're wondering, Nezumi, if I'm pronouncing that right, is the Japanese word for rat or mouse. Start by teleporting or taking an airship to Limsa Lominsa. From the Aetheryte, you can use the Aethernet to go straight to the Aft Castle, or from the Aetheryte Plaza, walk straight east and take the lift to the Drowning Wench. From the airship landing, you can also take the lift to the Drowning Wench. From there, the Aft Castle is just through the south exit. The story begins on the Aft Castle in the upper decks. Speak with the Nezumi Bagio to pick up the quest, Mochi to be Desired. The Bagio is concerned that while rats are considered good luck in the Far East, in Eorzea they are considered unclean vermin. He has you do some research to get some ideas on how to improve their public image. You just talk to people around the Aft Castle, and someone realizes that Kikern are giant rats who can cook.
That's racist.
Whilst discussing this, the Mochi Dakin, the guy in charge of the mochi, runs up and says, "The mochi has come alive." And you all decide to cut it up, which means to fight it. Remember this guy said it was totally safe? You should be able to use the nearby Aethernet crystal to teleport out the Zephyr Gate. If not, if you can get back to the Aetheryte Plaza, you can just head straight east out of the Zephyr Gate from there. To fight the living mochi, you need to complete a fate that spawns in Middle Enosha, southeast of the Zephyr Gate. It's a level 5 fate that knocks you down to 10 if you are higher. Notice that Nenrune, the mochi dude, and about half a dozen rats will join in. When you return to Limsa, the head chef of the Bismarck, who is also the master of the Culinarians Guild, is quite impressed with your rat friend's culinary skills, at least at making mochi, and together you prove that anyone can cook. Your reward is you can choose one of the two Kabuto. You also get an achievement as well as a little experience and gil. You can now go to the shop and spend your cut mochi. Look for the Nezumi Shonen nearby, also known as the Far Eastern Vendor, right next to the Nezumi Doshin. First there are the two Kabuto, of which you should already have one. The word Kabuto means helmet, and these are like samurai helmets, decorated to look like this year's totem animal, the rat. These can be placed in the armoire so they don't take up inventory space, or space in the glamour dresser. The Heavensturn Bounty is a housing item that can be placed on a table or the floor. This one has no animation that can be turned on and off like the last 2 years. Also, it cannot be dyed like some housing items. it just sits there with a rat on it. Zoni, or ozoni, is a traditional Japanese mochi soup eaten at New Year's. This food item in-game gives you a GP and perception buff, as well as the usual 3% experience buff, so it would be good when leveling gathering classes. The use animation is just drinking from a can. And finally, a new magicked prism, Advent Cakes. At least I think it's new. I haven't seen it before. So it's 15 cut mochi if you were going to buy one of everything. But since you got one Kabuto for completing the quest, you only need 10 pieces of cut mochi.
I bet it's a long, tedious grind to get everything.
Actually, it's super easy, barely an inconvenience. You only have to complete the fate once with a gold rating, which is pretty easy, to get 10 cut mochi and get one of everything. So unless you want multiples, like maybe a ton of magicked prisms, there really is no grinding involved. So a little about that fate. Shortly before the fate starts, Frankenstein's mochi will appear. The fate takes about 2 minutes to complete, with a few people around. One time it took about 6 minutes before it spawned again, another time about 15. Some people think doing fates in the area helps speed up fate spawning. I'm not sure if that's true, or if that would affect a holiday fate. Besides the giant living mochi, there are also smaller blobs called Advent mochi. All of them need to be defeated to finish the fate. Do your best to avoid the ground AoEs. If you have trouble, it might be a good idea to have your chocobo set to healing stance. If you have your chocobo. This is my third Heavensturn celebration, so I'm acquiring quite a collection of silly hats and weird housing items. I think they should bring back each year's item when the same year rolls around, but they won't. Anyway, thank you to Electra Ninja. Show your support by liking, commenting, or subscribing. I hope that you had a happy New Year's Day, and I hope 2020 is a good year for all of you. Goodbye.